All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty interesting.
Yes.
And this is all coming from a report from The Information. And it's talking about some potential partnerships in the world of AI.
Right.
And specifically in India. So
Yeah.
we're talking OpenAI, we're talking Meta, and we're talking Reliance Industries.
Wow.
So, I mean, what are your initial thoughts here when you hear these names being thrown around like this?
Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is just the scale of it. You know, you got like the creators of ChatGPT
Right.
and, a social media giant who are both really deeply invested in AI.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got this, this conglomerate Reliance that's
Yeah.
like involved in pretty much every aspect of Indian life.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing.
It really is. So, I mean, the potential for change here is huge.
Well, and so let's break this down a little bit, because
Okay.
there are a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
The report specifically mentions Reliance Jio,
Right.
which is their massive telecom arm. Yeah. And they've apparently been in talks with OpenAI about distributing ChatGPT in India.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the reach they have there.
Right.
It's a direct line to potentially hundreds of millions of users.
Yeah, it's like an instant user base.
Exactly.
And that kind of aligns with, OpenAI's stated mission of
Okay.
making advanced AI more widely accessible.
Mhm.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The report also mentions that OpenAI has been internally discussing
Yeah.
the possibility of lowering the ChatGPT subscription cost,
Wow.
like potentially down to just a few dollars a month.
That would be huge.
It would be huge. And now it's not clear if this was part of their conversations with Reliance,
Okay.
but you can imagine how a lower price point in a market like India could be a complete game changer.
It really could.
Yeah,
I mean, especially if they're distributing it through something like Geo,
right.
that could make it accessible to a whole segment of the population that might not have been able to afford it before.
And it's not just about individual users either.
Right.
Reliance is also reportedly considering offering access to OpenAI's models
Okay.
to their business customers.
Interesting.
Yeah, through an API.
So basically a way for different computer systems to talk to each other.
Exactly.
So all sorts of businesses could integrate OpenAI's technology into their own operations.
That's right. And this is where Reliance's diverse portfolio becomes really important,
I see that.
because they're not just in telecom.
Right.
They're in retail, they're in energy. I mean, imagine businesses across all of those sectors suddenly having access to these cutting-edge AI tools.
Yeah, that's a lot of potential applications.
It is, and that brings us to another really fascinating aspect of this.
Okay.
So the report indicates that Reliance has been exploring the possibility of hosting and running these AI models themselves.
Really?
Yeah, like within India.
Interesting. And why is that?
Well, it seems like the main motivation is to keep Indian user data within the country.
Data sovereignty.
Exactly, and this is something that we're seeing more and more of around the world.
Yeah, makes sense.
Keeping data local can address privacy concerns.
Right.
It can help ensure compliance with future regulations. It's all about having greater control over how that data is managed.
Yeah. And where are they planning to do all of this?
Well, that's another really interesting piece of this puzzle.
Okay.
Reliance is currently building a 3-gigawatt data center in Gujarat.
3 gigawatts.
3 gigawatts.
That's enormous.
They're saying it could potentially be the largest in the world.
Wow.
To put that into perspective, 1 gigawatt is enough to power 1 million homes.
That's just mind-boggling.
So we're talking about infrastructure on a massive scale.
It really shows how serious Reliance is about this.
Right, and just to remind everyone, Reliance isn't just some small player.
Right.
They're a massive force in the Indian economy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking petrochemicals, retail, renewable energy.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
So any move they make in AI has the potential to really shake things up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, it's important to note that Meta declined to comment on this report.
Okay.
And OpenAI and Reliance didn't immediately respond to requests for comment either.
So it's all still speculation at this point.
Right, these are just reported discussions.
But the fact that these conversations are even happening,
Yeah,
I mean, that tells us something about the direction that these companies are thinking,
it does.
especially as they're looking at high-growth markets like India.
So to kind of sum up what we've talked about,
Okay.
we're potentially looking at wider and potentially cheaper access to AI tools in India, along with the possibility of that data being stored locally.
Right.
And if we think about the bigger picture,
Yeah.
this whole situation kind of highlights how these global AI players might partner with local companies
Interesting.
to navigate different markets and different regulations around the world.
Yeah, that's something we're probably going to see more and more of.
Probably. And it raises some interesting questions.
Yeah, like what?
Well, what are the implications of these kinds of partnerships for both users and businesses in these different regions?
Yeah, that's a great question.
It's something to think about for sure.
It is.
So thank you for diving deep with us today,
My pleasure.
and we'll see you next time.